Hey, what is up, Declaration families? Thank you so much for joining us again on this awesome Wednesday for Epilogue. If you're new, Epilogue we're just diving a little bit deeper into Sunday's sermon. And so I actually have with me Pastor John talking about his sermon from Sunday. This Sunday started a new series. We're fresh off of Thanksgiving, moving into
new series.
New month, new series.
Not really a new month.
Not really new month. Well, it is now. It is now. It is now officially 2 days into new month. Technically it was the 30th.
Well, we had to start that way because Advent technically starts
that week.
So that's
so
why.
This is, as he just said, this is our Advent series.
It is.
Moving into Christmas. And now it is, for anyone asking the question, it is officially okay to listen to Christmas songs.
It is officially okay.
Bust out the buble, as you said on Sunday.
That's right.
And with that, we do have one thing that I want to talk about before we get into talking about the sermon. This Saturday, we have Christmas Bash, and it's going to look a little bit different, but I'm really excited about it. I think because it's different, it's new, it's exciting. It's going to be a drive-through, so bring your whole family, gather up, bundle up in the car, and come drive through. There's going to be lights.
Yep.
There's going to be I hear Santa Claus is probably going to be there.
I think so.
We're going to have a live nativity. It's going to be a good night.
That team has done an incredible job. I mean, months and months of planning goes into that, and man, they had to kind of turn a corner about 2 weeks ago and reimagine the whole event. And so, but it is good. I think it's going to be a great event, and they've done an incredible job.
Yeah, and I'm excited about it. This is one of my favorite events we do all year. Really, probably my favorite event we do all year. It's a lot of fun. So come out with us. It's December 5th. Yeah, December 5th, this Saturday from 5 to 8.
Right.
So we'll see you there. Yeah.
All right.
Now, this, like we said, it's a new series. This series is called Looking For. And you kind of started out on Sunday talking about, of course, we've talked about this year a lot throughout this year because, one, it's this year, but also because this year has been crazy.
Right.
And we can all agree in that, no matter what the case is. And you even talked about how, for some people, this may have been the worst year they've ever had.
For some, it has been. In fact, I know people sitting in our house, in our church. I mean, there's some people that have walked through some very, very difficult loss. And so, I would say for some, they would say this is probably the worst year of my life that they can remember. And so, couple that with even today I saw on Twitter someone talking about how 2020 has been and what that forecast into the next year. And, their livelihood, their existence is kind of based on gatherings, if you will. They produce conferences and things like that. And so, there's none of that. And so just talking about how different 2020 was and, scrounging some work together. It's so creative and weird. And 2021, is looking the same. But it just goes to, you add all that with people decorating their house far earlier and people wanting to break out Christmas tree. I mean, people want to feel, they're looking to feel good, normal, hopeful, joyful, all those things.
And even something normal too, right? Like Christmas is something that has a lot of memories attached to it. A lot of things like that.
I was thinking about that today. It's probably the only frame of our life that we can listen to a song from the 50s and absolutely love it, because it evokes.
It brings back that's what
right.
it is. It's that memory. Even, there's a lot, we're probably going off on a tangent here, but there's a lot of things even attached to like scents and smells. And that same thing goes with Christmas. I mean, you can smell a little bit of cinnamon and it's like, here it is.
Especially when you walk into H-E-B or whatever. Shout out to H-E-B. Well,
there you go.
You walk into H-E-B and they've got those cinnamon sprays right there in the front. Yeah. And all of a sudden,
so it is, man. It's a big time of the year. It's a big season.
And so we should make it a big time of the year.
Absolutely, yeah.
Not just because of the commercial aspect of it that I think most of the world embraces, but it's the biggest time of the year because it represents the greatest thing ever. And that's Jesus,
and talking about this week, the actual series title, the series is Looking For, but this week's sermon was Looking for Hope.
Right.
And we've talked a lot about hope this year, which I think for good reason, of course, always, because we need hope.
Right.
But, you talk through Isaiah and just him talking about and prophesying the Messiah to come.
Right. In chapter 7 and in chapter 9, he kind of, in 7 he establishes, but then he comes back and reiterates in chapter 9. But all through the middle of that, it's basically he's trying to warn the people to follow God, to continue to trust in the gentle care of God rather than looking to these other governments or these other things and these other kings and people. And he's basically saying, hey, because you have rejected this, there's going to be a rebuke coming. You know, didn't use that language Sunday, but that's basically the gist of it. And the Assyrians are going to come and crush you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think you did mention crushing.
I did mention
crushing
that.
Coming through.
And so, this is not, and obviously we didn't.
Serious.
That's the second time you're serious. But obviously we didn't. It's funny that she said I didn't understand it. I'm about to explain. But we didn't get deep into this. But one could easily look at that and say, well, wait a minute. Why would God allow this crushing to come? That's a great question. And so we could even look at the year 2020 as we should, and we actually spent a lot of time, I think, through our digital campus when we were not able to physically meet in person, asking big questions like that. But just in a sense of, I think of it this way. God is trying to get their attention. God wants and here's the thing. I believe God is trying to get our attention. Yeah. Always. God wants the fullness of our hearts. He wants the fullness of their hearts. And so, but he also gives these, like if you read 7 through 9, you see everything that's going on, but he gives these 3 things, and these are the 3 points that I kind of brought out. Yeah. One of them is not implicitly in the text, but it's suggestive, if you will, when you read the context of the whole. The first being, what did I say? That he's going to be he's going to be with us. Yeah. And that was the promise that Isaiah prophesied. Emmanuel, translating to mean God with us. And then obviously he's prophesying God coming in the form of flesh as a baby. Doubles down on that in chapter 9. So he's promised to be with us. Second thing, he's promised to be our sanctuary, our safe place. And that's what he was saying is like, you should fear God more than you fear the crushing of any enemy or any situation, right? And so, and I think that that's applicable and relevant for exactly where we are in this moment of life. We should have a greater reverence for the Lord than we should have a fear of COVID or government, what we might perceive as government instability depending on which candidate.
Well, I mean, even with that, Isaiah even talks about how the government's going to be on his shoulders.
And that was another thing that, I was hoping that everyone would kind of subliminally unpack on their own. I didn't want to bring that out because I don't want to keep trying to press into that, right? But the truth of the matter is yes, that's what Isaiah said. And so for those in the storyline, in the context of that passage that were looking to these different kings, or they were, looking for the downfall of these kings or whatever they were doing, here's Isaiah saying, hey, those of you who are so stressed out and putting all your eggs in the basket of government, man, the government's going to be on his shoulders when he comes. And so I think it's a good reminder for all of us, especially right now, time of the year, season of life we're in, context of political climate, all of it. This rings so true to 2020, just as it did 700 years before Jesus was born when Isaiah's prophesying.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Right.
700 years. That's a long time.
I thought that was pretty fascinating as well, that, we have a hard time in our microwave instantaneous gratification generation enough to wait 10 hot minutes versus 700 years for a promise. Yeah. Right. And so,
I mean, even through that 700 years too, most of it being silent from God.
Yeah.
Yeah. And them just waiting and waiting. And I mean, generations waiting.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that.
And all they have is the promise to pass down.
Yeah.
And man, that'll preach in and of itself is
I mean, one generation commits the
one
next.
generation entrusts the next, declares the mighty acts of God. All we really have is the promise to pass down, but we have the truth of what has already come and what will come again.
Yeah. Which is, you said on Sunday, you said, I got to figure out how you have it in here somewhere, I think, but we don't have to find our hope in something to come. Right. Find our hope in something that's already happened.
That's right.
And
that's true.
Man, that's good stuff. And, I mean, we talked through all of this hope stuff. I'm trying to remember, your sermon actually this week. I was very proud of you. Your sermon was pretty close on time. It was really good.
I'm working on it, everybody.
Yeah, it was really good. I looked up and I was like, man, that's awesome.
I forced myself to write shorter because I've noticed I've been going longer.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we joke about it, but man, when God puts something on your heart, just go for it, man. It's good stuff. I know. And then, so real quick too, I know you talked about. Well, we watched that video.
Right.
If you didn't watch the service, go back. It's on YouTube. You can watch it on Facebook too. There's a video clip that PJ shares, and it's kind of just going through really the season that we're in, right? Like especially that video. It was, you could tell it was the end of Thanksgiving dinner. Everybody was kind of off doing their own thing. Some people were asleep.
Right.
Mom was busy working, serving, cleaning. I remember there's a little girl trying to blow a candle out. Didn't really get that, but whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And then a little boy looking for his dad, right? And then you finally find his dad, and of course he's looking for Jesus in the nativity scene.
Right.
And you just
digging through all the decorations.
Digging through everything, yeah.
Right, and finds the baby Jesus.
And
for the
the whole premise behind that being, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
And then you even posed the question after the video, are you the man who's sleeping?
Mm-hmm.
Are you the one who's, distracted by the football game or whatever the case may be?
Yeah. Because and here's the thing, like, obviously don't want anybody to feel judgment on any of that.
Yeah.
But by and large, there's a lot of distraction right now. And I think that, and we also have a tendency to distract ourselves so we're not having to face or to confront stuff, right? And I think that that's a worthy question to ask. We're going to sing songs this season, songs that have lyrics like "Prepare Him Room," right? And I think that it's an important thing for us to do if we're going to prepare room for Jesus. Then we need to prepare our hearts. We need to prepare in every way, which means we might need to look at some of the things that have become distracting and dividing, rather than drawing us closer. And so I think that those questions were pretty.
Yeah.
For me, when I saw the video, that's what it did for me in my heart, which is why I went ahead and unpacked it that way. Okay, well, where do I find myself in the story? Sometimes I feel like the little boy that's wandering around yelling for dad.
Yeah, where are you? Yeah.
Right. Where honestly, we should all find ourselves just like that dad as we dig through all the decorations. We're looking for one specific thing. And in this season, as we dig through all of our decorations and our distractions, may we be looking for that one thing, which is not just a porcelain figurine for the nativity, but the truth of who Jesus is.
Yeah.
And that's when we say looking for, that's
what it is,
the whole thing's about.
Well, then after that video, you went on to even talk about how, Jesus is the best gift that we have, we've received, but also the best gift that we have to give. And so taking that from, your 3 points being, Jesus came
to be with us,
be our sanctuary,
and our deliverance,
and our victory. Yeah. And so thinking of, man, through that, whenever you walk through that deliverance, that victory with Jesus, and you are in that sacred place, that safe place with him, and you're going to begin to share that gift with other people as well. And
one of the things that I did not spend any time talking about really on that last point especially was, and I think that maybe for many it was more, inherently, like you kind of get it, right? You understand, but I think it was worthy to spend a little bit more time to go back on that last point. Jesus has promised to be our deliverance and our victory, because if you are the one who's had the worst year of your life, sometimes it's hard to see that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to. I remember when probably when Kelly and I were at the darkest spot of our lives, wondering if we were going to lose Kyle when he was born or not, if he was going to live or die. It was really hard to look with my physical eyes at our situation and believe for the promise of victory and deliverance, Now, of course, I had my own definition of what deliverance and victory looked like.
Yeah.
And what I wanted victory and deliverance to look like. And so, maybe there's somebody that's sitting in the room, or they part of the digital family online, and they heard that message and they got to that point and they're hearing about, we're looking for hope and all this great language, but really in the core of their gut, they're going, man, I don't know how God is my deliverance and my victory in this hour.
Yeah.
And sometimes, there's just no solid good explanation, and it feels super trite and
Yeah.
super cliche to just kind of give a simple Christianese answer to that, right? You have to walk through it. That the valley is a very difficult road to navigate sometimes when you're having to walk through it. But every time that I have walked through a situation and gotten to the other side of that situation, the perspective from the other side is always different from the beginning.
Yeah.
You've heard, everyone's heard that footprints in the sand.
That just popped in my head
But
too.
it's a true deal, man. And as corny as that can feel, right? Because Christian bookstores have put it on like bookmarks and everything
everywhere, man. It's
but
everywhere.
as corny as that can feel, it's really true. Like, God, I don't believe that God ever promised that our life would be easy or even good to our definition necessarily. Hear me what I'm saying. He promised it to be abundant and eternal for sure. But our definitions sometimes can get very self-focused and self-consumed, and sometimes things just aren't going to happen the way that we want them to happen. I didn't want Kyle to be born the way he was born. I didn't want my dad to die when he died. All these things. And it doesn't take away from the goodness and the rightness and the providence and the sovereignty and the holiness of God. And I would rather know that I'm walking through that scenario with God on my side, with God above me, with God behind me. He's got my back. Even if I feel undone and alone, I can tell you, walking through the last 22 years now, since 25 years really, through some of the things that the harder things that I've walked through, knowing that God was with me made every difference in the world, even when I questioned it.
Yeah.
Because I think deep in my spirit, I still knew that God was with me, And if there's nothing else maybe from this epilogue that we can take away from, maybe further examination or whatever, but if there's nothing else, hopefully maybe I'm kind of speaking to the sensitivity of that, just that hurt that's so hard to explain and it's so heavy to carry. And so you wish you could just allow the Lord to take that burden, but the burden is just so great. It's a giant that you don't know how to tame. But to really be able to, in your spirit, know, just deep in your soul, know, okay, I'm choosing to believe that promise that God, was giving to His people way back here, where Isaiah's prophesying. He's promised to be with us, and I'm choosing to believe it not because I'm waiting for the Messiah to come. I'm choosing to believe it because the Messiah has come, and Jesus will come again to make all the sad unsad, to make all the wrong right.
That's good.
To make all the sick whole. I mean, this is a promise that we can now look forward to. So just as they were looking for a promise, so are we.
Yeah.
We just have the vantage point of having had Jesus already come.
Yeah.
So
A whole different perspective. Man,
it's a
that's
matter
good.
of faith.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what it is. It's, you got to have faith, right? There it is. All right. Well, hey guys, I think that's a pretty good spot to end, I think. And so, again,
So
if
Saturday,
you are
5 o'clock.
Saturday, you're gonna want to come. It's gonna be at Snyder. What's the address for Snyder? Do you know it?
28601 Burnham Woods Drive.
There it is. You
Spring,
heard it.
Texas 77386.
You heard it here from Pastor John.
Yeah.
Come meet us out there, man. It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be fun.
There's still places you can serve as well, and we'd love for you to be a part of just loving people.
Yeah.
And come. Let's
It's
have
gonna
a
be
great
a lot of fun.
Christmas bash.
We also, if you are in the Spring area and you have been coming to church, we're still doing our give wall. This is the last Sunday.
Yep.
For the give wall, and
I think there's about 40 kids still available
Yeah.
out of the 100 and
what was it, like 150, 100?
I can't remember the total number.
A lot.
Yeah.
This is the most kids we've ever had
Yeah.
on the give wall,
So that's
and
exciting.
also, we have 40 kids left, but this has also been, we've already had
exceeded our past. Yeah.
what we
Yeah.
have in the past, and so
It's pretty incredible.
it's awesome. It's exciting. So come be a part of that with us, man. It's an exciting year, or exciting time of year, I should say. But with that, guys, we'll let you go. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you Saturday.